So how are those in show business facing up to this outbreak? Let's bring in Washington, Erinn Tucker. She's the faculty director of the Global Hospitality Leadership Program at Georgetown University School of Continuing Studies. Erinn, welcome to the show. This is not the first time the entertainment industry has seen these sort of obstacles, and of course it's not just affecting New York, it's affecting many cities around the world. What sort of cushion pad, if you will, is built into this sector to prepare them for something like this?
Well, thank you so much for having me. And no, this is not the first time it has happened. The industry has had to deal with 9/11, has had to deal with SARS, H1N1. But I think that the difference now is the fact of the rapid rate that COVID-19 has really been able to really endure itself very quickly. The live events industry represents $14.5 billion out of an $897 billion leisure activities economy. And a lot of people didn't really understand its importance. And with that, the effect that it has had, the estimated total revenue that's generated from businesses just even associated indirectly with the live events industry and the events industry exceeds over $188 billion. So I think in seeing that and seeing these performances, it's really now really showing the rest of the country really what its impact is.
And we saw these cancellations start happening a few weeks ago. One of the problems, I understand, is that really there's been a variety of policies in terms of refunding tickets, which has created a bit of a problem.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that there's always been insurance that has been able to cover tickets. I think it's the number, and I think it's the type of live events. When we're specifically talking about theaters and concerts, there's insurances that are put into place. But when you start talking about events like South by Southwest, where you have events that have a strong what's called supplier component. So performing artists, DJs, musicians are actually contracted by these large events as suppliers. And so when you have a South by Southwest that represents $350 million for the city of Austin, and you have that canceled and you have tickets that have to be refunded at varieties of different levels, these were just avenues that organizations such as that didn't necessarily have to deal with compared to more of the theater and performing arts world.
What are some of the consequences of employment in this industry? We talked about Cirque du Soleil letting go of 95% of its staff. You mentioned South by Southwest. I know that Cirque also has a lot of foreign performers, many of whom are now far away from their families and without a job.
Well, the United States Travel Association states that the coronavirus will cost the U.S. travel sector $202 billion in direct travel spending and 4.6 million jobs before May. So that's within even the next 4 to 5 weeks. And so with that, the travel and tourism industry is really, it's not just performances, but performers or performances, but it affects the transportation industry, the lodging industry, destination marketers, the lodging and accommodation sector. So just hotels alone released an updated analysis, and RevPAR is actually down 32% for the week ending March 15th. That is absolutely, it's something that the industry has not ever seen, especially with March being the month where hotel bookings actually go up due to conferences, due to leisure travel, and with an occupancy rate down of 24.4% and also ADR down by almost 11%. This is just something that the industry has not had to really endure, especially at this time. So live entertainment such as theater, music concerts, circuses, all of these major avenues is so critical to these travel destinations. Even events such as Coachella, for example, that had to make that decision to really cancel their event. I mean, you're talking an event that draws 300,000 people over 2 weekends, with the Stagecoach Country Music Festival really being 1 week respectively. So you're talking about an event that has multiple artists as well as multiple stakeholders and corporate sponsors and attendees. So when you've canceled that, that is a direct loss for Palm Springs, the area of Palm Springs, of $400 million, and not including the surrounding areas of individuals who travel in from LA and San Diego. That's an additional $700 million that's lost by places such as Ontario and even San Bernardino.
And of course, the people in the communities that are also expecting some of that revenue. Just really quickly, one last question. We've seen some artists go online, try to share their art with the rest of the world. Is there really any way to monetize that?
Well, I think the monetization is going to come in what I call a short-term, long-term turnaround. There's some artists that you would never know. I found an artist out of the UK, Azalea, who is just a phenomenal artist, and she has this kind of ability to be able to, at this time, capture individuals who are sitting right here and there in their home, going through social media. I think, definitely with DJ D Nice, who, I've known him as a DJ since the end of the '80s. He in a matter of 5 days has added a completely different chapter, an additional chapter, even an additional book to his career journey. And so he's already now doing work with Michelle Obama, but also he's got an extensively long career for individuals that didn't even know who he really was. So the artists have the ability to become very, very creative at this time and really have a captured audience.
And if you haven't seen it, do check out the New York Youth Symphony performing online, all from their separate areas. Erinn Tucker from Georgetown University, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.